What's up, bros? Welcome to the Men of Mind podcast. I'm Omar Bravo, and this is the podcast all about badass knack bros and their journeys through life. From the bad beats and the lessons learned to the mountaintop successes and advice they'd give their younger selves, this is your chance to get to know these bros better. In this episode, I talk with Rick Rivera, Ada Chapters, Ada Class number 43 from Santa Clara University. Órale.
What's up, dude?
Oh my gosh, what's happening, my man? Dude, what are you
Look
doing?
the same.
Yeah, shit, I wish, bro. That'd be
Dude.
I wasn't bald when we were in college.
I mean, I've seen you after school, and I've definitely seen you since you've been bald. You've been bald for a very long time.
Yeah, that's been like 15 years or so, maybe more. What's going on, brother? Why are you doing working so hard, man? I thought we were all supposed to be like quiet quitting.
Shit. Well, that's for the what is it? Gen Z or whatever the hell they are.
Is that why you're working so hard? Because they all quiet quit?
No. I mean, that's more Michelle, to be honest. Like, she's at Kaiser, and they deal with like this strike situation on an almost annual basis within mental health. For right or for wrong, you know, there's always two sides to the story. But like, she's essentially picking up the slack for all the union folks that are striking and triaging like mental health for adolescents. So shit's been nuts for her. And then I've been recently moved to a project, and it's very much interconnected with all elements of this new way that Google is supporting performance development. And so performance development had been done a certain way pretty much since like 2005. It evolved a bit, but it was clear that it was in dire need of a refresh. And so I joined this team that basically redesigned performance management at Google. And one element that I owned was feedback. And then by need of a backfill, my work quadrupled. And now I own basically how we're holding managers accountable to being good managers and doing very important just activities with their direct reports to ensure there's alignment on expectations, that there's progress being made throughout the year, that managers are held accountable in a consistent way across a 170,000 person company. And so it's happening alongside all sorts of different releases. And so once one thing is checked off, like 5 more things come up, and it's not going to last forever. It's super interesting. It's definitely like stretch opportunities within like HR and program management. But you know, it gets exhausting. It's been like maybe 12 plus hour days every day for the last month.
Dang.
And the weekends go by real quick, but it's also exposing me to a lot of new things that I haven't done really up to this point in my career. So from like a flexing muscle experience point of view, and then like working alongside like really senior folks within this part of Google, it's been awesome. So, you know, I'm taking advantage of the opportunity, but it's coming a little bit at a cost of sleep and things like this and energy. But again, like, it's not forever. It's an awesome opportunity. It's just happening alongside Michelle's very extremely busy work life, and so that's kind of it's making us all a little tired. And there goes my 6-year-old just ran out the room. Yeah,
that's wild, bro. Now, you've been at Google for a long time.
Yep, I started as a contractor in 2009 and converted.
I thought it was even longer
7 or 8
than that.
months later in 2010. So I've been a full-time employee since 2010, and most of that time was spent in staffing and recruiting. And then in 2018, moved towards like a hybrid internal mobility and program management, like creating policy around internal mobility, just to kind of, you know, just make the process more consistent, the experience. And then as of last year, moved full-time into program management within HR, basically.
Dang. So no engineering for you, huh?
You know, it isn't without, like, so I work closely with like engineers, And so from like a logic point of view and being able to like understand like the if then else, like I can't code that stuff, but I can talk to engineers about what things should do and what actions like the platform that we've built, like what they should do based on user interactions, based on deadlines missed, based on like those things and what a user should see like on their dashboard. So I feel like there's always going to be this like foundation of engineering that I could apply, whether it's like in recruiting, I was able to find engineers because I could talk to them and know, okay, you know your shit. Like, and then, I'd send them to the engineering manager and they say, okay, yeah, this guy knows their shit. This person knows their shit. So not engineering, and I'm cool with that unless I could go back in a time machine and like actually do computer science, which I wish I would have done instead of electrical engineering. At the time, I didn't know that semiconductors would not be all that fucking cool or necessary as they were like in the early 2000s. But it served me well, and it's open opportunities through technical recruiting and partnerships with engineers in various ways and roles at Google.
So are you back in the office? Are you working from home?
We were pretty much told to go back into the office on a part-time basis, about 2 to 3 days a week. Near the beginning of the year, that date kind of changed based on COVID and spikes and all these kind of things. It's not a very like strongly enforced policy, but technically I should be in the office 3 days a week. That was not the case during the summer because the kids were in camps and here and there and then travel, and it just made it really tough. But now that they're back in school and we're in a normal groove, I enjoy going in at least a couple of days a week. It's nice to have that separation of home and work, and you just get a different level of focus when you're like surrounded by work environment stuff, and then like the micro kitchen and coffee is made and you could get a snack and go get lunch. Like it's awesome to go into the office. And then like, you could imagine like on a Monday or a Friday, like, much
Nobody's
rather
there.
stay at home and no one's there, and it's just kind of easier to work from your PJs. But yeah, I'm pretty much going in on a hybrid basis now that the kids are back in school.
Yeah. That's great, bro. Damn. So let's talk about that. The first question I always ask is married with kids, single or ready to mingle, somewhere in between.
Very much married with kids. Michelle and I are going to be, what is it going to be? 12 years in October. And then Maya turns 11 on October 14th. And Natalie just turned 6 in April. So 2 girls. Shop is closed. There was a lot of like, will there be a number 3? But ultimately, I kind of looked at it from a very practical point of view. Like, kids are really expensive. I want to retire young. And I also thought about it like from a support point of view. My mom's not around. My dad is not, like a take care of kid kind of grandpa. He comes by, but I would not leave the kids with them. I have a funny story about one time I left the girls with their uncle, and that will never happen again. And then Michelle's parents still work. They're still at Lockheed. They're 66, 67 this year. And they're going to retire, I think, within the next year. But I tease them that they're probably going to work until they're 80. Like, I just, that's just, they're going the distance. And like, it's kind of hard to rely on grandma and grandpa for stuff. They watch the girls, they, not to shortchange them. But, and the other thing is Michelle's brothers, I hope they don't see this, but they live at home. So, I feel like her parents kind of haven't felt that empty nest syndrome that's often backfilled with the grandkids and experiencing grandkids. So that's another reason every now and again we'll get like we're busy, can't watch the girls this time thing, but it's all good. I give my in-laws shit in a fun way all the time.
That's good, bro. That's good. Dang, 12 years. That's a solid run. I actually thought it was even longer than that, but I guess you guys were together for at least a couple of years, maybe in a handful of years, no?
Yeah. We were together for 4 years, engaged for 1,
sense.
married for 12. So do the math. It's been forever.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we're like best friends throughout college. So
Who do you hang with? Do you hang with anybody? You still see Lo and Jesus and
yeah,
Brian?
yeah. We're still in the same fantasy football league, so that's like guaranteed to see them at least once a year. I see Brian probably about maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and then
That's not
Lo
bad.
maybe like 3 times a year or so. Usually for somebody's birthday. Um, Definitely for the fantasy draft. I see Sunil, and then some other jokers you might know, like Daniel Say C, TSE Asian dude, Jamil,
Jamil figure.
Snoop.
Yep.
Snoop's in the league. Jesus, and this dude Tony Costa. I don't know if you remember Tony from SCU. This guy Haps. I think it's Sunil's boy. I'm certain he went to SCU, but I don't know
I
like
think I
what
remember
year
that
or anything
name.
like that. Haps. I think he partied a lot. Um, yeah, and then the league kind of changed a couple of times. Like Sly used to be in the league, but then he got too hammered one time, and his wife didn't let him back in.
Which Sly? Are you talking about Sylvester Rojas or
Yeah,
no shit?
yeah,
That's
man.
fantastic. I was
Oh
wondering.
yeah.
He's on my list of folks to catch up with, but I didn't know who was in contact with him.
So if you ever find him, the last time, and we still joke about it to this day, the last time like Brian Lowe, Jesus, any of us saw him was after the draft one year. It was at Lowe's house. We got wrecked. We were like, all right, let's go to Santana Row. And then Sly just goes for the door and he just runs. And we're like, where's this guy going? And so we run out the house like, Sly, like we're trying to chase him, but he's fast.
Yeah, he's got wheels, bro.
And he's slamming. We're like, we're not catching this fool. Where the fuck's he going? And he was fucked up. So we're like, we got in the car. We started looking for him. We couldn't find him. And then I don't know. I feel like we found him. We threw him in the car to like kind of like detain him, so he could like make sure he would get home safe. And then after that, like his wife was like, "You're done. Like you're out of this league." And it's not it was our fault. We were all just having a good time. But
He hella got
yeah,
grounded.
his nickname ended up being the Tank. It was
There you
around like
go.
old school time, and he was
Yeah.
definitely that character from old school. But yeah, if you find Sly, tell him I said what's up.
That was probably a whole bunch of years ago, right? I mean,
Definitely, this is probably like shit. Oh my, yeah, probably like 10, 12 years ago, something like
yeah.
that.
You're gonna have
Whenever they
to.
were at the house, I mean, they haven't been in that house forever.
Uh, Geez, that must have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
I got a hold of Augie, believe it or
Oh
not.
wow,
Yeah,
that's a where's though for you.
he's a vice president at a community college out in I think it's outside of Sac or something like that.
Lodi,
I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I
a
tracked him down.
V
The only reason
VP
I
of what?
actually of like what is he? He's like VP over faculty or something like that. I can't. I'd have to look it up. Like it's a good gig, man. The only reason he
Good for
responded to
him.
me is I got a hold of him at work. I looked up his email address off the website. Got a hold of him.
Yeah,
So
man, he went like Jason Bourne, just off the grid.
we're
Like
gonna have to
couldn't
remind him
find
who he
him,
is,
not on
dude.
LinkedIn. Yeah, probably denied his identity. Augie, Augie. Who? I feel like he hit me up like years ago on LinkedIn just to say like what's up.
Yeah.
And I said what's up, like, hey man, like great to hear from you. It was good. But that was it. Like I replied to him and like asked him like some questions, like, dude, like let's catch up. Nothing. Crickets.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. That's okay.
He's a tough guy to get a hold of. I
Yeah.
got
Sheesh, man.
I find myself having to get a hold of people at work. That's the only way people I can actually get a hold of people.
Yeah. I'm not much on like social media anymore. I still have Facebook. I still have Instagram, but it's just like I'm in front of screens all day, and I'm just like that's just not my thing anymore. I've had the same email address forever, the same phone number since college.
Yep.
I don't really check. I haven't checked my knack at Yahoo email
Oh
in
my gosh.
maybe 15 years, so that might have gotten shut down.
I don't even know. I don't even know if anything gets
Yeah.
sent to those anymore. Who knows?
I remember I was all proud of it when I made it. But, yeah, it's in the Yahoo email graveyard probably.
Yep. 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 So what else is happening, brother? You got these two kids. I'm sure they keeping you plenty busy.
Yeah. So our AC is down, so I'm probably flush and sweaty right now just because my buddy's got to fix it. So we're hot. But over the last couple of years in the pandemic, I think we actually enjoyed it. Like we really enjoyed just obviously we didn't enjoy the world shutting down and fear of illness and that kind of stuff. But looking back at a lot of the moments in the last couple of years, there were so many just like intimate family times and games and movies and puzzles and just like fun, and just at home date nights or celebrating Cinco de Mayo with ordering tequila and Mexican food and just kind of us. And then as things started to open up a little bit more, little by little, like I think we were always on the conservative side of networking and masks and all these kind of things and just being extra careful. Knock on wood, none of us have gotten COVID even up to this point, which is pretty fucking rare. It always feels like it's just around the corner, but I think we do the same kind of stuff, wear masks around people and all that. Like the drive-through birthdays, like weird, but you do what you can. And then just like little by little, I think, especially once the vaccine was available to people, Michelle got it first because she's in like the hospital world. I had like super duper fear about not getting the vaccine. Like I was like, dude, the vaccine is going to be ready next week. I'm going to get fucking COVID today. And so I got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna like, because like you go on like CVS and like check one of the qualifying illnesses. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna say I'm obese. Like I'm just gonna say I'm fucking obese. I need this shot. Like I don't care if I don't look it, but I am.
Tell them they used to call me Fat Rick.
He used to call me. I used to be so fat, like and. Thankfully, when I did that, because I signed up. I know where the vaccines were available like 3 days later. So thankfully, I didn't have to go to Capitola and do my obese appointment. And I just got a vaccine, and then the girls got vaccines. And then I think we made up for lost time this year with tons of travel. Like I went to Vegas for John Marcoita's birthday in February. Yeah. Mask the whole fucking time. It was a blast, but still that part sucks. But we went to Maui in April. We've been to like Arnold a couple of times with friends. Went to Disneyland at the beginning of August, and then we're going to Cancun in late October, and it's going to overlap with both Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, which will be pretty awesome being in Cancun around that time. And that's for like Michelle's cousin's wedding and kind of like a family reunion for her family as well. So I feel like this is the year of travel and kind of making up for lost time with that. And the last couple of years have been more chill. Like we still go up to Tahoe a few times a year. We didn't go, I think we only went once last year, maybe twice. And so like we've always been kind of okay with those kind of things just because it's a little bit more secluded. We go with another family that's really kind of like careful and stuff. But I feel like we're kind of like getting to that point where we go to social gatherings, but like 5% of people wear masks. And I still tell my kids to wear masks because kids cough on each other's faces left and right. But we're most of the time like outside or just doing like more small scale stuff. You asked
Hell
who I
yeah.
kick it with. I see John Marqueta all the time. Like that's my
Where
dude.
where at? Where do you see
Um,
him?
so I would see him at I so let me back up. So Ruben Navarro basically organized a weekly basketball run. It was private in that
Nice.
like it was dedicated just to, his network of people, and it cost X amount of money every 5 or 6 weeks to rent. And quite a few bros, Tanner, uh, John, Ruben. Trying to remember like others. I think Raul came out a couple of times. But anyway, like that's probably where I would see him on a weekly basis. And we were always been cool. And I feel like maybe I was tighter with Tanner and always loved John. But then I'm still tight with Tanner, but I see John like all the time now. It's me, him, this dude, Caesar, and this guy, David. We kind of just like clicked up over the pandemic and just had Zoom calls and would get drunk and, just have fun and do all that kind of stuff. But it all kind of started with basketball. And then we had that gym for about, I don't know, 8 years or so. And then the pandemic. And then my boy Caesar and I, not a bro, but, he knows a lot of them. We just started playing golf like almost weekly over the last like 2.5 years. So when I saw your golf thing, it definitely made me think about asking you about that. But yeah, so I see him, keep in touch with Raul, kind of just stay in touch with Rob over over text and stuff like that. I laugh because he got married. He asked me to be his best man at his wedding. And then like he calls me out of the blue one time, like on a Wednesday. He's like, "Hey bro, like I just want to let you know that I'm gonna get married on Friday." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like I can't be there on Friday, dude. Like I have plans. I'm going out of town. He's like, no. Like I know, like it was totally last minute. It was kind of just like spur of the moment. But I wanted to call and like invite you, obviously, and if you were available, and it's totally cool if you can't go. I was like, yeah, man, I can't, but thank you and congrats. And if you ever do like a ceremony, like and it's planned more than a few days in advance, I'll be there. So that was kind of funny. I was going to be
how many
Rob's
years
best
ago
man,
was
but
that?
this was 2 years ago, I think.
Oh, okay, so pretty recent.
Yeah, semi recently. And time is a weird thing during this whole pandemic thing. So it definitely wasn't like 6 months ago, but it definitely wasn't like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Sometime in between.
That's awesome, man. I'm getting married on Friday.
Dude, I was like, wait, what? Okay. Other than that, man, like I don't really talk to like much of like the bros that were younger than me, honestly. Haven't been to like a knack like activity or anything
Anything?
like that in a very, very, very long time. I think John might still do, like he stays true. Like I think he goes to the crossings and I think he's the same
That's nice.
kind of like intensity at those things. I couldn't even tell you how many bros are at SCU or how many cross last whatever.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, like
But
what year did you graduate?
03,
Okay, so it's
so
been
20 years
20
ago,
years.
19 years. Yeah. So I think that's it's probably okay to maybe
it makes
distance
sense
yourself
that
a little bit
it makes sense
from the
that
frat.
you don't hang out with college kids all the time.
Yeah. But then when I remember, like, I don't know, maybe John just always seemed old, but he
Dude,
would come around like when I was in college.
I think about it, and it's like I remember like Sly would come around and Tony Cabrera, and I thought I used to think those dudes were hella old, but like they were like 24.
Yeah. I mean, they were hanging on to the college scene. They weren't that far, but it
They
seemed
were
like because
not. They were,
they worked, they had money. It's like,
yep.
damn, this is an adult. Like, this guy's old.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like 2 years out or something. I don't know.
I know, but it's funny. It seemed like they were way like older, like men, like real actual like grown men.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, a 24-year-old compared to an 18-year-old, like that's a world of difference, right? That's a generation of knowledge.
Isn't it funny how 30 seems just like 40 years away from
Yeah,
18 to like 12 years. And then I trip sometimes when I think about like my dad's only 24 years older than me, and he's 65. I'll be 41 in November, and so thinking about time kind of on that scale, how like 24 years is not a lot of time, but then when you're a kid, you're like thinking, like looking at photos, your parents are all brown, like the sepia tone. It's like it's got the round corners, like dang, this is ancient, but when I'm thinking about like graduating high school in 99, 30 years before that, like summer of 69, that seems like so far away. And and I'm over here listening to like No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom. That's 1995. We're going into 2023. That's like 27 years. I'm like, holy shit, like I'm old. Fuck. It happened.
It cracks me up when people talk about like Tupac and Biggie, like younger folks, they'll be like, "Oh, old school." I'm like, "That's not old school, bro. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, it is. What are you talking about? That's gold school. Man. Yeah.
It happens.
So
It happens
what
in a
have you
hurry.
been up to, big bro? What's good?
Dude,
Got a
dude,
bunch of kids.
I got 5 kids, bro. I got
That's
5 kids.
a basketball team. Holy shit.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. We talk about it a lot, and I mean, I'm sure you've heard it where, your first kid, you're double team, second kid, man to man, third kid and on, it's just zone. So it doesn't even matter. Like there's only so much of me to go around. You get it all, and that's it. It's like, hey, we need more. There ain't no more, man. This is it. This is all you're getting. So I think for the biggest change for me was when we had the second kid, because the first kid, it's like, go to your mom, and then the second kid, it's like, oh shit, I got stuff to do. Mom's busy. Ever since then, it's been all the same, man. It's just, it just keeps rolling. So yeah, we got a litter of kids and a minivan, and we just pack it up and freaking roll around to national parks. That's kind of our thing. We just go cruising and do a lot of pools at hotels and see a lot of I'm the youngest in my family, and so not many of my siblings have kids, and so they've my kids have conservatively like 10 sets of grandparents, because
Jeez. And
yeah,
I would have guessed the opposite, because I know you come from a large family, and then now you have a large family. So I was about to say, like, do
I
the Bravos just know how to pop out kids like
I
pets? Like,
single-handedly doubled the grandkid population, man. My
wow.
my 8 older siblings had a total of 5 kids between them, and Mace was one of them. So 4,
Oh man,
four,
that's a
four younger ones.
yeah.
It's
Miss
a whole
Mace,
different story.
man. I see Mario, or Kia's in our league, so I see him about once a year
Nice.
as well. So Mario's there. I saw Sal, but it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. At a bike party, like San Jose bike party thing. Um, like I'm trying to think about like who else. That's
It's
yeah,
tough to
man.
stay in touch, man. It takes like
A
legit work.
little bit to Alan. Like, like I've talked to him like on 420 a couple times. Like John will
Just
do like
every time.
he'll do like a group call a couple times, I think, during the pandemic, and we all got in a just like, hey, what's up, kind of a thing. Um, Borrow. Oh, at John's birthday. Yeah, I saw a bunch of bros at John's birthday,
Yeah.
like Arturo and some other folks from down south, and uh, Jose Duran was there
Nice.
when I went in February. Dude, he's still the same. Just absolutely hilarious. Ray Barrow, Ray Esquivel.
Yeah.
Um, oh man, I forgot the bro's name that lives out in Vegas. He's like big in the, I guess, the like the radio scene out there. I can't remember his name though, but super cool dude. He set up a lot of just kind of the activities and things for a pretty large group when we were out there. Um, yeah, man, and like from that trip, we have like a little group chat and throwing some shenanigans out there. So it's just kind of like a way to stay in touch. And I was really, I mean, I was glad to see all of them, but Jose Duran was definitely like one of the ones I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm really glad I got to hang out with you and just like pick up immediately after years of not seeing or talking to him, just the exact same guy and exact same kind of style and jokes. And like, just you're right back into wherever it was, you know, the last time, you know, we were kicking it.
That's the beautiful thing, you know, we pick up where we left off. It's never miss a beat,
Yeah.
right? That's always
In your case, you don't age
beautiful
a
part.
day. 5 kids, you don't even got a wrinkle, dude.
I must have an Instagram filter on or something, bro.
You do have the filter on. You definitely have.
I have a filter on. I can't hide the gray, dude. That's what I can't do.
I see that a bit, but even then, it's man, you look.
How are you
good.
maintaining that you ain't got no gray? What the hell? You been freaking.
You see the COVID flow, man.
You got the just for men going on. What's happening?
Not at all, man. I probably got about 5 gray hairs. I don't know. Maybe right? I'm aging like Benjamin Button. I don't know, but it's been, yeah. Like I don't gray, or I haven't yet, and in fact I expect to, and it's increased a bit over the course of the pandemic and stuff. And just two kids can feel like 4 or 5 sometimes, especially just with busy jobs and things like that. But yeah, man, I don't know. Just try to stay young, try to stay active, like work out, ride the Peloton, golf once a week, push-ups, you know, weights. I drink probably a little bit too much, like most probably do or have done in the last few years. Try not to eat terrible. So yeah, just all that stuff. You know, probably there's always room for improvement, but you know, I know when trending in an unhealthy direction and like course correct it real quick.
That's good, man. So how's Pops?
My dad is doing well. He could probably eat a few more veggies, but he does morning and afternoon walks. He retired late last year, so it's been almost a year. My grandma recently passed away. His mom, she reached 94.
That's a run.
Or 95. So she went the distance, and so he's had to kind of adjust to that. He has a house in Texas, really close to my family's ranch in Acuna. So now that he's retired, he's making plans to like be out there for a few months and, you know, just be close to the ranch, be close to his sister, my aunt, who lives out there with my uncle and cousin. They've got horses and animals and all that stuff. So it's almost kind of like a sanctuary, I feel like, especially for aunts and uncles that go out there. And, you know, now that my grandma's gone, you know, I think they'll go out there and kind of, I don't know, just kind of feel her and her spirit and things like that. Aside from that, again, I hope my dad never sees this. I don't think he will, but you know, he's constantly in this kind of like ladies drama, but with the same 2 chicks for like the past like 7 or 8 years. And I tell him all the time, like, Dad, like, dude, like spread the field, dude. You're a good looking dude. Like, why are you always just like stressing and going back and forth between these 2 chicks? But I don't know. I feel like the spice kind of has a positive effect. Like, you know, it energizes him a little bit. So, I mean, that kind of keeps him busy for better or for worse. And then he's really deep into his motorcycle. So he's got a Harley. I have a Harley. We ride maybe a few times a year. I'm not big into it. Not because I don't like to ride. It's just time. Mostly time more than anything. And I'm not like, I don't like the like ride and drink kind of culture that often comes with riding. So like when I tell him like we'll ride, like we're gonna go eat, we have 1 beer and then ride and then chill and that's it. But I'm not into like the bar hopping on a motorcycle kind of thing. So not that he is, and well, maybe not that he is, you know, you know, excessively, you know, he'll go out, he'll have a couple beers, whatever, and I'll always just tell him like, dude, just be careful. Call me, all that, you know. So at various points like in the last, yeah, exactly.
Like roles have switched.
I mean, that was kind of the case. Like when my mom passed away, he
what
he
year
went a little
was that,
bit,
bro? It's been a while.
'09. She passed
Yeah,
in '09,
'09.
and he went a little wild. Understandably, had to reel him in. Definitely over the course of the last, 12 years or so, at different times, like I've had to tell him, like, dude, like I feel like I'm your parent. Like I feel like I'm giving you this kind of advice that I mean, I'm happy to. I'd ideally not like to have to give this to you, but I've had to give him some hard and honest truths that thankfully for the most part he's taken and made necessary adjustments. So you can imagine how that kind of a loss throws anyone off their track, and you're bound to go way off track and probably do some things that you wouldn't have normally done. So but ultimately, like he's a good person, and I just want him to just be healthy, happy. And I want to tell him, does so and so make you happy? Does she make you healthy? Like those are the things I care about. When he's like, he probably cares about other things, but I don't. I want him to be with somebody who challenges him just to be a good person, makes him happy, makes him a healthier person. And one of the two does that. One of the two very much keeps him in that biker kind of culture, kind of lifestyle. So he thankfully has distanced himself from the bad one, and I think kind of settled a little bit more with the better one. So
It's such a
he's good.
trip.
He's good.
It's such a trip because I talk about this a lot, about how all of us are like in the throes of the stage where we're taking care of everybody. We're taking care of the kids. We're taking care of the spouse. We're taking care of our parents. We're taking care of our employees. We're the managers at work. We're like, it's everybody. And I think it's a stage, and I don't think it lasts forever, but I think it lasts long enough. Well, until we get old enough and start relying on our kids, right? And our kids are like, hey, you can't drive anymore, or whatever it is that they've got to do, right? I mean, at some point that shows up, but like this I think, I don't know if it's 35 to 70 or something like that. It's this span where nope, everybody's.
I hope it's not that long to 70.
I don't know.
But then no, you're right. Like your kids might be self-sufficient at that stage, but maybe as you get older, like your parents are becoming very much reliant on you. Yeah, it's just that stage I think that we all got to go through. But no, you're right. Like it does feel like your responsibilities just only could, the list gets longer and longer as, after you get into your 30s, you start to have a family. And then, of course, if you want a career, or you want the career that you want, you got to work for it. And that often entails like sacrifice and time, do more with less time across all of those different avenues. And yeah, I feel you.
I ask everybody this question. Well, let me ask about this first. So your pops was from Texas. Did I pick that up correctly? And then where was your mom from?
Bay Area. So
Okay.
she went to Lincoln High School. She grew up in San Jose.
And then how did your dad end up in the Bay?
When he was 13, him and his 7 other siblings and my grandparents got in their station wagon and moved out west. My dad's uncle had a house in San Jose. And I think what drove my grandfather out here was just opportunity. I think whether it was work or he was a chef. He worked at a restaurant on the Alameda, I think, for a very, very long time. And I think it was just opportunity to like establish roots in the Bay Area, to lean on his brother, my grandfather's brother, for support initially. But then soon after they moved, my dad told me a lot of the story. His uncle was pretty mean, like forced them to sleep in not great conditions in very small spaces, like shut off water, shut off electricity. And so I think what that did was that motivated my grandfather. I think he worked like 3 or 4 jobs. He just hustled his ass off until he was able to scrounge enough money to build a down payment for a house in East San Jose. which is where I grew up and where my dad lives to this day. And so, however long it took, I don't know, but I think maybe at least like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, they dealt with these really harsh conditions with my uncle, my dad's uncle, and my grandpa. I think just took advantage of the opportunities from a work point of view that were out here and hustled his ass off and bought his family a home.
So you're straight up like, are you living in San Jose now, or where are you at?
Yeah, I'm in South San Jose. I don't know if you remember where like Oak Ridge Mall is off
Yep.
Blossom Hill,
Yep.
like south. So yeah, I'm like 5 minutes away from Oak Ridge, still in San Jose. My grandma, she passed away in 2018, and then she left me, my two brothers, and my cousin her house that's very close to downtown. And my brother Jonathan has had difficulty launching like his life into like, into the sky, basically. He's 35, he's 5.5 years younger than me. But he's always kind of had, been taken care of, I guess, like whether it was from my mom, my grandma, her partner. And so not to like pivot, but like he basically stayed in that house for the last 4 years and just like took advantage, didn't build up, didn't stack the chips, he took advantage of a house that was paid for by living there for free. He didn't take advantage of it by like taking advantage of not having rent and stacking his chips, sky high. Until finally, after having to like, support him in different ways, I told him that's enough. Like, I don't want to sell this house, but I want you out of here, and I don't want to buy you out. I'm ready to move on. And so like over the past like couple of months, we've just by little emptying it out, replacing things that needed to be replaced, not doing full on reno just because like the housing market has fluctuated so crazily. Like it just doesn't make sense to do deep like full scale renovation. So one of the things that me and really my cousin have been owning is just like getting this house ready to sell. And so that's what we've been doing. That's another thing that's been keeping us really busy this year. So my brother is out. He's living with my dad, who have a very kind of tough relationship. And then he's had to move out with a friend. I think that friend told him, nope, can't stay here forever, buddy. But yeah, he's just had some bad luck combined with laziness, honestly. And I think that's a tough combo.
Where did your younger brothers go to college? They follow in your footsteps? Where did they end up?
No, unfortunately, as much as I hoped that they would have. John was 22 when my mom passed away. Michael was 15.
Damn.
And that derailed him. Like he was a stud in school. Michael at 15 went to Lincoln, good grades, great athlete, and easily could have, maybe, played football, JC, or maybe gone to like a D3 kind of a thing. Him and my brother were both amazing football players. But I think it just derailed him too much, and he just couldn't get back into like school to the point where he would have needed to. The JC track would have always been there, and I constantly would tell him like, dude, just go to JC, like get the credits, kind of get your feet back into school, and then 2 years go to the university track. Like I'll help you the whole way. But can only lead a horse to water, and it just wasn't in his heart. So thankfully my dad, kind of guided him into the sheet metal trade, which is what he was in for 20 something years. And my brother has been in that trade for the last like 6 years or 7 years. He's already an apprentice. He's going through an apprenticeship. And for, I guess, sheet metal workers, like the career track is very much like laid out in front of them. So they kind of know, if I stay in it for this much time, this is when I can retire. This is when I can advance, or these are my advancement options. And then at that point, it's just learning the trade. And then what I think he should take advantage of is He's a pretty calm dude. He's not rough. Like you see kind of like that type of construction worker, often kind of rough. So I think he kind of can know the trade and then apply like his people skills and go maybe into like a foreman, general foreman type of direction. But it's all up to him. I'm just happy that he has a career, and a solid one on a good track, and he's in a good place despite not going to school. John, he always told him as well, like I wanted them to follow in my footsteps. Like I wanted them, if not to go to a university right away, like at least continue after high school, go into community college. And I always, and even still to this day, like make sure that they understand, like I'm a resource for them, not like a financial resource for Jonathan, but a thought partner, someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of and give advice and these kind of things. He just always, he was his own like ceiling. Like he just couldn't think outside of the boundaries that I think he just set for himself. And I think that's kind of, it's weird because he's only 5.5 years younger, but I feel like from like millennial to what is it, Gen X,
Z,
whatever
no.
it is, the younger, you know, I'm on like I'm a young, no, I'm an old, so he's a millennial.
You're an
too.
old millennial.
But I feel like within the millennial spectrum, like there's old and young, and the mentalities between them are kind of different. His mentality was like, it's going to take too long to get to where I want to be. Like they wanted a quick fix solution,
right.
Money from the sky. Like I want it all, but I don't know how to get there. I want it all, but I don't want to work for it. And I'm like, dude, that's not how it fucking works. Like you got to work your ass off. You got to be the first at work and the last to leave, and hustle and grind. And if you have a passion if you can develop a passion for it, then that part takes over. And then it maybe is still work, but whether your passion is advancement or money or retiring young or helping people, whatever it is, like that's the thing that like will drive you eventually. But he just, I don't know, just couldn't get out of bed ultimately. And is still, I think he's at a point right now where he knows, like, I got to figure something out. He's got no like retirement and things like that. I mean, you've got my grandma's house. When we sell it, he'll have a little nest egg. That's going to go quick if you don't have money coming in.
Well,
if you're not investing it, or
how many ways do you guys got to split that, right? I mean, that was
4. So yeah, it's not going to be a ton. I mean, it's not,
we're
not walking away millionaires, but
right.
It'll be enough for him to do something that could be life-changing if he played his cards right. And as much as I could tell him and give him advice about, like, you know, what he could do and what his options are, ultimately, I think he'll opt to like just stick around here. He's got some network here and, you know, family and stuff. But if he were smart, he'd move out to the valley. He'd move to Reno. He'd move where his money can go further, where like opportunities are up and coming. Not that he couldn't find a job here, but, you know, cost of living here is just
insane.
Way. It's insane. Like it feels almost impossible for young people to like establish themselves here these days.
And it's also wild, right? Because at this point, you're like ride or die, live and die in San Jose. I mean, it's it's all you've ever known, right? I mean, and so while you can see that, yeah, it's insane, it's like you're in the thick of it. From an outside perspective, it's fucking mind blowing. Like it's so crazy from the outside perspective.
We have friends that have moved to Texas or moved to Seattle or just moved outside of the Bay.
Yeah.
Whether it's because they couldn't find a house or buy a house, or it just got too nuts. In 2012, we were starting to look to buy our house, and we got beat out by like 15 something offers. And Google was starting to open a staffing site. A staffing site in Austin, and I knew the site director very, very well, and I easily could have went there and gotten an awesome job and whatever. But she didn't want to go. She's like, no, I'm not going to Austin. If push came to shove, like, and I was like, dude, we got to go, like, or else I got to quit. Like, she would have gone, but I didn't push things that direction. But I was getting close because I really wanted to stop renting our apartment. Maya was 6 months old at the time. Maybe no, actually no, a little bit older, maybe a year. And luckily we put in an offer in the house we're in right now in South San Jose. It's not in like the location we wanted. We looked in Sunnyvale, looked in Santa Clara, looked in Campbell. In hindsight, I maybe wish I would have pushed our limits further had I known like San Jose would become what it's become. But it's a good house. It's a nice house. We're good. She has dreams that will eventually move to like Prune Yard or Campbell area. And I'm like, dude, like, you want to spend like $2 million to move 10 minutes away? Whereas I'm thinking like, once we sell my grandma's house and kind of roll it into a cabin, somewhere out in Arnold or Murphy's area, maybe a beach house, but I feel like those are a bit harder to find. But I love the mountains. I love Tahoe. Tahoe's a little too far. And it's gotten crazy in terms of like real estate. But Arnold is kind of like it's called like a poor man's Tahoe. It's got all the scenes and sights and kind of things that you would want kind of in a mountainous region. And it's got like just a cool vibe. And we know, we have some friends that have a place out there, and a couple of other our friends are looking too. So like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if we'll be in the Bay Area forever, but I'm almost certain that we'll stay in California forever. Absolutely. And if I, hopefully if we play our cards right, I'd love to have like a house in Europe, a house in the mountains in California, and then my house like in the Bay, or kind of my home, maybe not in the Bay by then, but somewhere on the outskirts of the Bay where you can get a little bit more space like for your money. So that's kind of the dream.
This sounds like a good dream, brother. Here's another question. So growing up, your parents weren't like, I don't think you guys were poor, but you weren't super affluent, right?
Right.
And then now you guys are doing well, like a lot better than your mom and dad did. How is it that you keep your kids grounded, right? Because you didn't grow up spoiled, but your kids are living the dream.
I think spoiled is relative, like, and it's all in how like kids understand, am I spoiled? Am I not? Like, I don't think you have to be like a Kardashian kid to like be spoiled. I think you could be spoiled, and still be semi-poor or not affluent, rich, well-to-do. So I consider myself spoiled in the sense that I didn't necessarily get or want the material things, but I did get a Nintendo, and I didn't know at the time how hard my parents probably had to scrounge and scramble to buy me a Nintendo and buy me Kung Fu. But as I thought about it later on, that was really expensive at the time. Like a fucking 8-bit Nintendo game cost $50, and $50 back then was like $150. And so it's like, and I could recognize when and how I was spoiled. Maybe not like the Nintendo is more of like a monetary or just like object kind of thing. My mom would clean my room when I'd go to school if she was home, or my grandma too, or just like can I make you something to eat? And obviously that you have to make food for your kids, but then you could just kind of tell like when it's, when you're sick or when it's not dinner and you want a snack, and like they dropped everything for you. And so all these kind of things I think kind of fall into the category of, and maybe love equals spoiled to some degree. But how do I keep the girls grounded? I let them know all the time, especially my 11-year-old who has grown up in the world of like internet and TikTok. Like she shouldn't be on TikTok. Like you can't shield your kids from every single thing. And I feel like if you over shield them, they're just going to find reason and ways to access the things that you don't want them to. And then they're lying, or they're doing things behind your back and maybe accessing things to a different degree had you had a more open kind of relationship about these things you don't want them to access, and taught them why and when you think they're ready. And so we've both opted for way more of like an open, honest relationship with our kids. And I have to remind my 11-year-old more often than I have to remind my 6-year-old, my soon to be 11-year-old, that she's lucky to have the things that she has, to have experienced the thing that she's experienced, that very few people her age have been to Hawaii 3 or 4 times, and few people her age will ever see Disneyland, let alone the 4 or 5 times that she's gone in her life. So I make sure that she knows that this life that she lives is extremely privileged, and we can decide to take things away, to reel things in if we're feeling like she's not appreciating the things that she has. We also are appropriately setting expectations for, someone who's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, who sees things, wants things, doesn't know the value of it, just wants them. And so it's not always yes. It's not, can we get ice cream? No, not today. Maybe next time, and so much of it is like, she wants a phone. She's going to be 11. All of her friends have phones. She's like, Dad, I want a phone. Can I get a phone? I want a phone. I'm like, you need to understand what it takes to earn a phone. You need to not understand the value of it from like how much it costs, but like, what does it take to earn something that you want really bad? Like, it takes good grades. It takes being a kind person to your friends, to your parents, to your sister. It takes showing respect and being a good role model for your sister. It takes helping out around the house, doing more than the minimum, like seeing something, there's crap on the floor. I know it shouldn't be there. I'm going to pick it up. It's not my job, but I'm going to do it. And so I give her these little things that, like, these are the things that show that you're aware of what's happening around you, that you understand the concept of helping out, helping others. And like, these are like the signs of maturity that often go rewarded, and I'm not saying this equals phone, but I'm saying that these behaviors that are noticeable over a period of time will show you and Mom, that you're really making an effort. Maybe you're driven by a want for this phone, whatever. But if that's something that motivates you, and you can like sincerely do the things, to a degree, because they're the right things to do, I think that's okay. But I'm not going to just give you this phone because you want it. I'm going to make sure you earn it, so that you know that when you got it, you earned it, and then you deserve it. Because too often, and I think my brother John is a good example of this, too often things are given to people who they don't know the value of the thing that they get. And often when you give them that thing, it just creates a hole for a new thing, because the thing doesn't fill them. It's wanting the thing that, as soon as you fill it with the thing, a new hole opens up and they want something else. And so don't be the type of person that constantly focuses on the things that they don't have and wants them without doing the things that it takes to get them. Because you're not going to go far in that kind of life. Nobody's going to want to like be around somebody that doesn't, that only asks for things and doesn't look for opportunities to give. And I try to put it in ways that like a 10-year-old can understand. I use the whole analogy, like, when you want something, and sometimes she does get in that kind of zone where I want this. I'm like, okay. Not long after that, can I have this? Like, no, but I just got you that. And then the thing that we got her has no value anymore. And then I got to like reel her in. Look, like, you wanted this. I got this for you because XYZ. Maybe I wanted to, maybe it was cheap or whatever. And now you want that. And now this doesn't matter to you anymore because you have it. So now it doesn't matter. Now you want the thing that you don't have. And so this is how I'm like showing it into her face. Like, this is what it means to just want and want and want and want. And I'm not somebody, I'm not a parent that will just give it to you. So you can ask, but if you know me, you know that I'm not just going to give you what you want. Maybe that will tell you before you ask, or maybe that will tell you how to think about things that you want, and like how to plan for it, how to like tee it up, say like, make it a conversation. And so I've always talked to Maya as if she's a little bit older than she is. And that's a way that I think we've kept her grounded. It goes in the opposite direction. Like when we go to Maui or we go to Disneyland and she sees all this shit and like, she has to eat. So we got to buy her the $15 hamburger or the $5 churro or whatever. But I make sure even in those moments, like, no, you can't have this $30 plush like that you don't want, that I know you don't want. You just think is cute. No. And she has chores. She has an allowance. She also gets rewarded for like, important moments and things at school, good grades on a test, stuff like that. And then sometimes when she wants something, I make her use her own money. And then I make sure that, if it's a significant portion of her total money, that like, are you sure you want this? This is this much of what you have. You can keep saving and think about these things in this range, but I'm not going to buy, or maybe if you earn this and do this, like I'll cover half of it and you cover half, and then you'll have earned half and paid for half. And so like, I just kind of try to put things in this frame of mind, making things that she wants a challenge to get. I mean, if it's like, like a pack of M&Ms, like whatever, but like if she wants something of like value, substance,
like
worth, anything that has value, substance, worth to her, that's of a more of a monetary kind of category, I'll make sure she understands, like, nothing is handed to you for free, kid.
I love it, man. I love it. I've asked that question to a lot of bros, and most bros are like, damn, I don't know. I just give my girls whatever they want. Sunil's like, he's making it rain for his kids. So he's like,
I mean, my kids go to a private school.
Oh, damn. Now the truth comes out.
It's not because I want to spoil them. I went to private school, and
the Bay's rough, bro.
So I only went to private school because, gosh, what was it? My parents had to work. They could not afford after school care or daycare or anything like that. My grandma kind of gave them an ultimatum because her house that I'm a partial owner of now was right around the corner from St. Leo's in San Jose off Race and San Fernando. She said, I'll watch Ricky for free, but you got to put him in this school. And then my parents like, what's the point? That school has tuition. Like I'm paying, like, they're like, no, like, we'll help you. Like, so my grandparents helped my parents put me in private school. And then through volunteering and doing more work and at the school and time, they were able to like work tuition off of, like, so they wouldn't have to pay for it. And then it got to like, all right, do this plus this, and you don't have to pay anything, and that was also kind of reinforced by their income. And so I didn't have to, my family, I didn't know this when I was a kid. I just went to school and whatever, but they sacrificed a ton for me to go to St. Leo's. And then when I went to MIDI, my mom, I still remember, made me do God knows how many essays and all kinds of like grant and scholarship applications so that I could apply to MIDI and have some kind of support for the tuition. And so there was this program at MIDI that I qualified for, did the app, wrote the essays, did all that stuff. And then I had to work for 6 weeks of the summer just to like cut off the remainder of my tuition so that we didn't have to pay anything. So they didn't pay for me to go to MIDI, but they helped me through a ton of the work to allow me to go. And then the school killed the program and they told my parents, okay, now you got to pay. And my mom wrote letters and letters and letters, met with the principal. She's like, hell no. Like you told my kid that he'd go to the school. You have to honor that. Aren't you a Catholic school. So she like kind of threw the whole shit. And so then I had to do more work, not just in the summer, but I had to work on Sundays, my last 2 years of school, just to keep going at MIDI. And then like same like with SCU, like pretty much mostly like scholarship, and then I had to pay for my housing, so I paid to live on campus like pretty much all 4 years. And so long story short, it's my way of like kind of paying it forward, doing for my kids what my parents did for me. It's expensive, it's a little bit of a sacrifice, but the quality of education is incomparable compared to like where Maya was previously. And yeah, it's, you put your kids in private school, I can see that as like, oh yeah, that's a spoil kind of thing. But like for me, it's more like I'm doing for my kids what my parents did for me. I'm glad to work or save or structure our finances that allow that to happen. And then after 3 years in this school, it's like, yeah, we made the right decision. You know, just like you can just tell from quality of education, interaction from school, daily emails about homework, upcoming tests, COVID, and the things that private schools are able to do differently than public schools to allow for an enhanced version of COVID education. Like all of these things were like noticeable and immediately let us know like we made the right decision.
That's fantastic, bro. That's awesome. I agree with, I hear myself just saying, hell yeah, you know, right on so many of the things that you said. It's so well thought out, it's so well spoken. How big of an influence does Michelle have in all of this? Because she's a therapist, a counselor. What
Yeah,
is
she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's a senior manager, so she still has a caseload. She manages a team of, yeah.
From everything you just said, the past, I could take the past 20 minutes. It sounds like you've been paying attention a lot to her. I talk, my wife's an artist, and so for a computer engineer, I know way more about ceramics than a normal computer engineer should. It sounds like you know much more than an electrical engineer should about family therapy and counseling.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think everybody probably has moments in their life when therapy is something that could be really good for them. And I wouldn't put Michelle's my partner. She's not my therapist, even though there are things I would absolutely like to her and seek her advice and counsel. I think a therapist relationship is a bit different. And I've actually, I see a therapist on a monthly basis. I've been seeing one for the last almost 7 years.
Nice.
And it's so helpful. Like, I think just like mental health, and you tweak your ankle, you hurt your back, like there's so much value, I think, in mental health and therapy. No marriage is perfect. You know, therapy does help in rough patches, and every married couple is bound to have a rough patch. And whether it's couples therapy or individual therapy, I think it's all great. You know, it may not be like a perfect connection with the first therapist you get. You may have to like meet a few before you feel like you found someone that like you can really connect with. But I think I've just been paying attention my entire life, like, and I've been like observing the things that make. And I'm not a perfect person. I've not done all the good things or just good. Like, that's how we grow, we learn, we make mistakes, and I just try to see any opportunity or interaction from others just to learn, like, what can I learn from you? What can you maybe learn from me just through the nature of interaction? And I especially think like it's kind of like, I don't know, inherent, I guess. Like, my brothers and I had the same parents, but they're not like me, and we went to different schools and things like that, but we're all different. I'm actually much more similar to my youngest brother than I am to my middle brother, and we're 12 years apart. but I think just like, you know, as long as you're always in the moment, and as long as you're always like looking for an opportunity to soak something in, whether you're reading or you're talking to somebody or you're watching something. I mean, there's some things you shut your brain off, you laugh your ass off, whatever. Like you don't have to learn from everything. But I think if you can just like reflect, learn from your experiences, be honest with yourself, like challenge like your loved ones, your kids, uh, like soak in their curiosities. Like when they've asked you 50 questions on the ride to school, like it's almost you're making yourself smarter because you're like, oh wait, I know, I read about that, and then like you're making yourself known to be like this like source of knowledge for your kids. Maybe they'll always come to you for advice. Um, so yeah, like Michelle is my partner, my best friend. Like she's brilliant. She uh, laughs at my jokes like nobody else does. So like when I'm around her, like I feel like, and I'm an introvert. I'm not like an outspoken life of the party kind of a person. I hate crowds. I do so much better in one-on-ones than I do on like a five on, you know, I mean, I'm fine like work and stuff like, you know, but like at a big party, that's not my comfort zone whatsoever. I can't wait till it's over. But like at a like small intimate dinner, oh yeah, like I'm cracking jokes, like I'm more in my element. So her and I just, you know, through the many years of our friendship and relationship, it's always been based on a foundation, I think, of like humor, goofiness, like 80s culture, movies, music, 90s music, uh, concerts, trips, travel, and, you know, life experiences of marriage, losing a parent, having kids. And I just think like I've just, all of this has been like with her, and, or she's been part of all of it, I should say. And yeah, you know, there's there's times when she checks out and like just plops on the couch and watches Housewives. I'm like, all right, you know, everybody needs that escape sometimes, but I think we're always just there for each other when we need to be. We put parenting first and foremost. We talk through big decisions, and I just think that um, you know, above anything else, I think we just like communicate really well and just try to have fun, you know, not take life so seriously, even though work has made life feel really serious. I feel like when we can escape from it and just be in our own kind of pod family and stuff, like, you know, we just crack a bottle of wine and just tell stories and crack jokes and just enjoy life, enjoy the present, the moments. They go by so fast. So really, that's mostly what I really try to do almost all the time is like just be in the moment. Like with you, like I haven't seen you in God knows how many years. I know I talk like most of the time. I know you're interviewing me, but I have all these questions for you too. And yeah, man, like I totally would love to like make this like a regular thing. You know, I'm so glad you reached out. Like I said, I feel like I'm not on social media because I don't accept the substitute of looking at photos and reading comments as a means to like stay in touch with people. Like if I have to do that to stay in touch and know like what's going on with you, I almost like don't want to. I almost like I've accepted that like, okay, if this is what it is, then I'm fine to check in, like see how you're doing, see your face, see not you, but like see a friend's face and scroll and do all that kind of stuff. And but I get tired of it. It kind of makes me sad a little bit. It makes me feel like fuck, like you've got another kid since the last time I saw you, and you and I used to be fucking like super tight, and it just makes me think like I appreciate the time that we did have together, and I need to maybe just like accept that it's not the same, and sometimes it's just like nah, I'd rather just like leave Instagram where it's at and maybe come to it when I feel like it. But I understand like if you're not on it, it's hard to like stay in touch and like stay connected unless somebody like reaches out. And I'm that kind of a friend, I think, where you have to meet me halfway. If I start to feel like I'm reaching out to you more or I'm like 70% and you're like, nah, I can't this time, but you're not saying next time or this date, let's do this. If I feel like you're not like putting in some amount of equal effort to maintain the friendship, like I pull away and I just let it die, or I just let it go until like the other person reaches out again. And that's okay. Like, I think that if we're meant to reconnect, we're going to reconnect and, pick up right where we left off. And in most cases that happens. In some cases it doesn't. But if I saw Augie, I'm sure that he and I would just start having this exact kind of conversation, even though I haven't seen him since we graduated almost 20 years ago. So, yeah, that's a long-winded answer to
No,
your
I love it.
question.
I love it. I love it, bro. God, I'm enjoying it. Hey, all right. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you got family. I know you got all kinds of stuff. We got a couple fun questions we'll finish up with, and then we'll get you on your way.
Right.
First one, 5 favorite artists. Could be music, authors, actors, painters. 5 favorite artists.
Man, I gotta throw Jay-Z up there. He's my all-time favorite hip-hop artist. I've loved him since Reasonable Doubt. This is in no particular order. And I wasn't ready for this question, so I'm gonna just try to think of folks on the fly. So Jay-Z, I'm gonna say, like, from an artist point of view, like Salvador Dali and Vincent van Gogh. I've been to exhibits for both artists, and both just the depth of their arts and the things that they lived, especially Van Gogh, just like sadness almost, like, and oftentimes like, deep sadness or trouble, like translates into incredible art. So like from like a visual point of view, I would say like Dali and Van Gogh are 2 of my favorite artists. I like a lot of others too. I'm looking around me and I see like love like Alex Ross, like comic style art. I've got a lot of stuff on comic stuff. Man, so check that out. I listen to a lot of this dude called it's old. He's dead, but Eric Satie, pianist. Like when I need to go into like just a calm kind of zone. Like I love classical piano music. My grandfather played the piano, and it's actually here in my house. And it just got moved because we're selling my grandma's house, so that was like one of the things I moved here. And so I could tell that my daughter Natalie is like enamored with it, and the girls want to start taking lessons. So I might actually take them alongside her or them. Sheesh.
That's good. I think you're a 5 at least.
I'd be at 5, man. Like movies, like I don't know. Like I'm always down for a DiCaprio or a Brad Pitt or like any of those kind of movies. Yeah. So that might have checked them all off. I mean, I love all sorts of music. Maybe Santana's up there too. Like just that genre and the influence it's had just within my family, I think. And yeah, so I'll probably throw Santana up there too. Yeah, that's probably 5.
5 dinner guests, dead or alive.
Dinner guests? Oh man. I feel like I have to throw my mom and my grandma in there. Just they're everything. Their laughs, their the way that they were together. They're definitely best friends, and I'm sure they're partying it up and having fun, with all the family past. So I would say my mom, my grandma. I feel like Obama, that's probably a cookie cutter. But I just like remember when he became president, just what it felt like when he won, like someone young with fresh perspective and ideas and just so eloquent and just brilliant. Like it felt really proud, like when he was elected, and every speech, like they always gave me goosebumps. I'm sure that's probably a dinner guest many people would say that they'd like to have dinner with, but yeah, I would say like just just that period of time when he was in everybody's lives and you heard him speak and you saw him cry, and you just felt that he was right there alongside you, in the moment, with the entire country. So yeah, I would say him. Sheesh. I want to throw someone funny up in there. And yeah, these are tough, kind of on the spot. There's just like a unlimited number of like people that you could potentially like have dinner with, and I don't know why I'm just blanking on every famous person I've ever seen. I'd probably I'd say like old school Kanye. There was definitely like, not Kanye today, but like Kanye when he was like up and coming. I remember being in college and hearing his sound for the first time. I think it was like 2002, and just latching on every single lyric and every single sound. And it's just been such a kind of a sad arc to his artistry. I would say Kanye is probably one of my favorite artists as well. It was just such a beautiful thing to see when he was hungry and up and coming, and he had his mom as like the fuel to his engine. And, it was like cockiness that I could never be, but in a way that was super smooth. And his rap style was just different. And I just like remember like thinking to myself, like, especially like as he started to change, how much I miss like the version of him when he was young and hungry and couldn't be stopped, and nothing could get in his way of his dreams. And like to just have a conversation with somebody who's like that, I think could be very cool. And you could probably take away so many things that, maybe you could filter down, but then like maybe teach your kids. I would say Sir Paul McCartney would probably be
Nice.
my fifth one. I love the Beatles. My mom loved the Beatles. Her favorite was George. My favorite's Paul. And love Wings. I love all the post Beatles stuff. And I think you could probably also tell like a ton of stories about just like times with the Beatles, time after the Beatles, times today, evolution of what he's seen with music. Um,
I've
so
said it. I've said it on many occasions about how basically nobody has lived a life like Paul McCartney. Like it's one of one
yeah,
as far as what he's seen, what he's experienced, and not only that, but lived to tell about it. Like that's
yeah,
the thing, is like there's so many people, oh, I lived this amazing life, and then whatever, did drugs and overdosed and died, right? I mean, that's the common trope with it all. And when it comes to Paul McCartney, like no, he's still rocking out, he still shows up and plays, and it's insane to think about the life he's lived. Like nobody's lived that
100%.
life.
You've probably seen his interviews with Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
I forgot, I think it was on HBO. But yeah, just like how like certain sounds and songs and how he like just his mind, that just how he comes up with music and with sounds and melodies and the stories, man, like I can only imagine. But
To not have
yeah,
gone crazy through all of it, like to have maintained all your faculties and not let it go to your head to the extent that like you lose it.
uh,
It's amazing.
yeah, like yeah, he would be up there as well. And many others,
Well,
this is
that's
just my
five. That's
list on the
five.
fly, but
That's five.
those are the ones that come to mind.
Here's another one. What's some of the best advice you've ever been given?
Um, I feel like one of my bosses helped me to understand this at a time in my career at Google where things weren't going my way. or things weren't going the way I thought they should. Basically said along the lines of, you can't control everything. Sometimes things happen outside of your control and you got to adapt, but you can't always control your attitude. You can always control how you react to the things that go well and to the things that don't go well. If you default to being upset or defeated or shortchanged or whatever, when something doesn't go your way, you're going to be a few steps behind than if you looked at it in a different lens, or you looked at the things that you could maybe do to adapt to this situation to make it better, or find other things about the variables that you maybe can control to create create the scenario that you ultimately want. You don't have what you want today, but if you can like not acquiesce to like negative thinking, then you might look at it as a problem to solve. And then if you like put in the work, maybe the thing that you want will change or will come. It might take some work, but you can't always change the things that are not in your control, but you can control how you react to it. You can control your attitude, behaviors and like things like that. So that's one piece of advice that stuck.
I dig it. Here's the last question, bro. Who should I have on the podcast next? And but you got to help me get him on. That's the catch.
I like John Marcoita.
He's already been on.
Raul
ghosts me. He said that fool said, yeah, we should do it. And then I keep hitting him up, and then he's like, I think he blocked my number.
Oh, what? That sounds surprising.
I'm joking. I don't think he blocked my number.
Well, he's an educator. Like he's got his PhD in teaching. So like I would think that he'd be like take advantage of an opportunity to share his experiences and his thoughts. I don't know like why he would like
I think he's just busy, bro. But yeah, hit him up and tell him, hey, quit ghosting O.
Brian Lowe, Jesus.
Lowe's been on. Shy boy Brian, dude. That's the tough one.
I'm not gonna get nothing out of him.
I know, Jesus too, dude. Lowe was the representative from that group.
That's fair. I would say Rob.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Rob in forever. See, hook me up with Rob.
I would say Ray Esquivel, Ray Barrow.
Ray Esquivel's already been on. Hell yeah, on Ray Barrow and Jose.
Okay, Joe. Now that I've said all the names, I think Joe Duran would be your absolutely most hilarious interview, and I'll tell him.
Yeah. Tell him, hit him up. Marcoita said that he was campaigning to get on, but I don't have any contact info for him. So
for Joe D, I could give you his. Do you want me to bridge that, or you?
Yeah, you bridge it.
Okay,
you bridge it, and then
that's an interview I want to see right there.
So a couple of the guys you mentioned are already on, man. Have already been on, and there's some laughs, dude. There's some hilarity. Low killed me. I was hanging out with Fabio in Colorado just shortly after we did that episode, and he was quoting Low, man. When I asked Low the first question, are you single and ready to mingle, or are you married with kids, or somewhere in the between? And he tells me, and I had a good idea, right, because I follow him on Instagram or whatever, and he tells me, I'm single in my mind, but I'm married in real life.
So romantic.
That's Low, bro.
Yeah. If there's anyone who is a black belt at staying in touch with people, it's definitely Low. Like he stays in touch with he's heard of, from, or knows about almost every single person. Like if you were to ask him, like, maybe not Lou, that's like a bad example, but he probably can remember like the last time he heard from Lou, and it's probably more recent than any of us. Like
Fabio says he stays in touch with Lou.
What about Luis?
I actually stay in touch with Luis. Luis lives in Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, Luis flew jets for the Navy. I mean, we lived out in Tampa together, not together, but he was stationed out in Tampa, while I was out there for probably a 18 months or so. We were just down across the bay from each other, so we hung out a bunch. So yeah, he was a completely different person than he was in college. I mean, you start flying jets, and all of a sudden, when you walk up to girls, it's a lot easier to talk to them than before. It's like, hey, so what do you do? Oh, I fly jets.
That says it all.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I
You
do
get a-
need to check out these podcasts. Yeah, man. Like I said, like I think just like not being on social media and just being in front of screens most of the day, and then opting for, I don't know, time away from screens, time with kids, or golf over the last couple of years. But now that I've done this with you, and now that I know like you've connected with quite a few people, I do want to check those out for sure. And yeah, man, hope to see a lot more. I hope to see you in person at some point.
Hell yeah, yeah. I'm due a trip to the Bay for sure. So now that COVID is hopefully wrapping up, like I gotta go load up at the bookstore and get some new gear. It's been a long time, so we'll definitely make it happen, brother. Like, and for sure, I know we're not gonna hang out every weekend or whatnot, but there's no reason why we can't jump on a Zoom happy hour and have a brew and hang out for a bit and kick it, especially if we're still around.
100%, man. Please know, like I will always be down, and I'll definitely reach out as well. Thank you for this invitation, man. I was so happy to see your email. And it's not that I thought we'd never talk again, but time just goes by so fast, and everything that goes on in your life often like takes up 100% of your view. So I just want to say I really appreciate you reaching out and setting this up. I think you noticed in my email I had a really long day, a long month, but this was actually the best part of my day, to be honest. So I just want to say I really, really appreciate it.
That's beautiful, brother. I love it, man. We'll be in touch, and thanks for your time.
Sounds good. Oh,
All right.
I will get in touch with Joe D, and I'll make that connection for you.
All right. Peace, Holmes.
Take care, brother. Bye.
Until next time, bros. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.